Hi, Talmage Smedley here with T's Doghouse. Thanks for joining us for this video. So this video is a little bit of an experiment for us. We've never done this. We've done the training. We've just never seen how much we could get done in just one day with a brand new student. So we have two dogs that just came in a day ago. They both have been run extensively on wild birds. They've had a complete wild bird season with an owner that does a lot of wild bird hunting. So they are getting some wild birds pointed, and he is able to get there sometimes, and he has been able to shoot a few birds over these dogs. They're big running dogs, so getting there takes a little bit of time. So that gives you an idea where these dogs are. We're going to see if we can steady them up some more. The main thing that we want to show in this video is we want to demonstrate the value of pointing to these dogs. As we help them have the experience of being on point, we're going to see that being on point, the way we like to say it, the bird on the ground is worth way more than the bird in the air. And they're going to show us that as we go along. We don't know how far we can get in a day. We've never done this, so we're going to have to read the dog and watch the situation, but I think it's going to be fun to see how this pans out. So stick around, join us. We'll introduce you to the dogs and how we like to do things around here. Okay, thanks for joining us. So this is Zip. Zip's an English setter. She's something over a year old, probably a year and a half old, I guess. And she had a full season of bird hunting, wild birds, and she's obviously a bird dog because she is excited about this bird. So we've got this really long check cord hooked to her because we just barely got her. We don't know her that well. We've got no e-collars or anything on her, but I wanted to be able to get a hold of her if I needed to. Hopefully we can get her hooked to this bird enough that we won't need to grab onto the check cord. But whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm just gonna start. She's obviously excited about this bird. Whoop, whoop. I'm gonna use some vocalization because I'm gonna use that to start to call her back in and do some things in a minute. So right now I just want to make sure we got some sight pointing going on and that she knows about this game and what it sounds like. Whoop, 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 whoop. So when we move the bird around a lot, it creates excitement, right? So if I had a dog that wasn't excited, I'd move the bird a lot. What I'm trying to do is help this dog understand that when the feet stay still, the bird comes down essentially. So she sets up with her feet. I'm going to lower the bird. When she moves her feet, I raise the bird. Good. So a lot like a wing on a pole with a puppy. I hear a lot of people talk about sight pointing and they don't want to do much of it, but through my experience, I've realized that the dogs see a lot of birds when they're out in the field. When they're hunting the wild birds, moving in front of them, and often what causes our young dogs to break is the movement of those birds. They either see them or hear them moving. Movement often causes, if I move, then that causes her to move a little bit. She's actually hooked up really quick. I wasn't sure. So we want to get them desensitized to that movement and realize that their movement has a direct relation to what the bird does. You saw right there, she thought about stepping and then she changed her mind. I like to see that little change, lets me know where her mind is going. You see that little rock back? So one thing we want to watch for is we can get a little frustration so we want to give them point time is what I call it. So once she sets up, I'd really like to get this bird on the ground and let her just stand and enjoy it. So I'm going to stand still. My talking set her off a little. So a few of those steps, I'm not so concerned in that they don't step at all right now. I spend a lot of time with the bird in the air. It's more rewarding once that bird gets to the ground, so I want to give her a little bit of time with the bird on the ground. If I get too critical about that step at this stage, I could get just frustration. Whoop. Whoop. About lost a bird. I just got a mouthful of feathers. Oh, I liked that a lot. Oh, that happened quicker than I thought. So that was my first showing that she's really interested in the bird on the ground, right? Because when the bird went past her, she thought about going, but then she knew this one was still here, so she just hooked right back up to this one. I'm gonna actually give her another bird. I'd like to have her chase a bird a little bit so that I know I can recall her. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. She's got some hops. Whoop, 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 whoop. Notice how again she's whoop, more interested in the bird down low than the bird up high. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, I'm going to actually put this bird away. I'll hand it to my cameraman. You might take it back in a minute, but right now I'm going to take a minute and just work. Whoa, whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, she's hooked to my voice now, so when I was whooping, she turned around and hooked back up. Keep her from running off and doing her own hunting. Want to get her desensitized to me getting to her, touching her. Oh, shoot. That bird wasn't very smart. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. So we can see, it's well known that, whoop, 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 that as you take away the chase, you increase the point. But you can see how much we can take away the chase without having to do anything. They'll just give up the chase, which she's demonstrating there. As soon as I whooped, she was like, hey, I'm back with you. If you think you got another bird back here, I'd rather the bird in the hand than that bird in the air. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. You can see my movement and the bird leaving her. She doesn't want to get any space between her and that bird, of course. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. I'm out of birds. Whoop. 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 Oh. Whoop. Whoop. Where's that pigeon on a pole again? Oh. Oh. Whoop. 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 So now we backed her off a little bit. Good. So we're gonna have to take a quick break, and maybe we'll get the Wally dog out. We'll work him doing the same thing, and then we'll come back to her and let her rest for a minute. But I was really happy with that. You saw that she started to point it from a little bit more distance, which I needed, and then She also, you know, let that bird fly right by her because she still knew there was one on the ground, so she stuck with the one that was on the ground. So thanks, and we'll see you again in the next little clip. Okay, we're back again with Zip. We're gonna grab Wally, but Zip's doing a great job. We let her take a break, get a drink, and we realized that we could run out of pigeons. So rather than running out of pigeons and not getting as far as we could, we're gonna see how far we can get with just Zip. So we've got her pretty hooked to the bird on the pole. Whoop, whoop. Starting to listen to the sound a little bit. I want to get moving around so that we're getting her desensitized to that. So I guess I'm blocking the camera view. See her mind settling down a little bit, slowing down. So at a few minutes ago, when I tossed that young bird and it didn't get up like most of the experienced birds do, and she caught it. You know, a lot of times that's worrisome to people that the dog caught a bird. And I don't have a dog that I haven't had catch. Not purposefully. Even when they're puppies, I'll let them catch them and carry them around. And we've shot birds over them. And sometimes the birds we shoot are only wing tipped or something like that. And so I don't think there's a reason to get too upset about the fact that they catch a bird. So when that happens, just don't make a big deal out of it and get the bird from them and go on. But it can, for a minute, cause them to think when it's on the ground they could dive in there maybe and catch it. But it doesn't take them long to realize that's not the case every time. And then they get smart about wounded birds and birds that can still fly, and you know, they get that stuff all sorted out. Okay, we want to make sure we get the gun in there too, and I want to know that she's got a good reaction to the gun. So whoop, 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 whoop. Actually, I'm going to hand this pole to the cameraman because I only have 2 arms. Come here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I like the pole because it cuts down on the number of pigeons that I have to use. But the challenge with the pole is that it doesn't fly off. Whoop, whoop. So she's good with the gun, which I expected. Having had birds shot over. Whoop. 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 want the gun to actually draw her back to me and to this bird. We could talk about that. Sure, we will talk about that. And if you get on our website, we talk about how we introduce the gun and what we want the gun to actually mean. I'll actually grab the... We also want to get the launcher introduced because we're going to use it. Oh, shoot. Hey, come here, Zip. Zip, here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So she's showing us some patterns. She's starting to run off and then she comes right back, you can see. They'll get pretty smart about whoop, whoop, what got something happening. So they realize that when they run out there, then you'll whoop and they'll turn around and come back in, so they start repeating that. Oh, shoot. Whoop, 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 whoop. The launcher's not working. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Cameraman gave me his knife. The cameraman's name's Tanner. It's my son. He helps us with all the videos and editing and training and whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, shoot. Whoop, 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 whoop. She goes back to the same place. It's like last time that produced a bird. Whoop, whoop. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Have one more bag. Whoop. Okay, so now she's starting to point the situation. Whoop. 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 Whoop, 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 whoop. 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 There we go. Whoop. 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 So she's starting to get desensitized to my movement. There's multiple birds. Whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, we're going to take a break and catch some more pigeons. But you can see how now she's starting to point the situation. She's getting desensitized to movement. She's thinking there could be birds anywhere, then there could be more birds. So let the birds fly off. Let's stick with the birds that are on the ground, which is exactly where we want her mind going. But you can see she's obviously very willing to trade the bird in the air for another bird on the ground. Okay, so we're back. We took a second, let her get a drink of water, and we caught a few more pigeons. Unfortunately, we only have a few more pigeons. So we'll see. Hopefully some more will come in back into the coop while we're working through these. But we got a dog that's very attached now to what's going on right here. Whoop, whoop. You can see she runs off that side. With the way the wind is, I'd like to get her to run off this side. Come on. But she's learning if she gets a little bit of distance from me, then things happen. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Here, come here. Come here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. And just let her enjoy that for a minute. You can see though how pointy she's getting. It's obviously enjoyable. It's obviously enjoyable to be on point, and she's choosing that over the chasing. She's listening to the sound of my voice to tell her that maybe there's more birds, and so I can speak to her a little bit and encourage her to go on point. So the whole situation, you can see that she's starting to just settle down and realize what's going on. We got multiple launchers in front of her now. Shooting the gun, she's obviously moving every time the gun goes off, but if I shoot the gun and then I pop those birds afterwards, then pretty soon the gun becomes like the sound whoop, becomes like the scent. You know, they smell birds and then birds fly. They smell birds and birds fly, and pretty soon when they smell birds, they go on point to keep the birds from flying. Then I whoop and birds fly, and I whoop and birds fly, and pretty soon when I whoop, she goes on point to keep the birds from flying. We're going to do the same thing with the gun. So I shoot the gun, she moves, the birds fly, you know, until when I shoot the gun, she just stands through that, lets us flush the birds. So I'm real pleased with the progress she's making. Unfortunately, I'm out of pigeons. We've got a whole bunch of them sitting on top of the coop. We've put some food inside the coop to try to lure them in for a little breakfast, and hopefully we'll have a couple bags of birds here in a few minutes and we can get back to it. So we took a little break, had some pigeons come in and let the dog rest in her kennel and get some water. So we got a few bags of pigeons again, so we'll see how much further we can get. If you saw in that last clip, she was standing and letting me use 2 launchers, so that was a good place to be. We're shooting the gun around her a little bit. So we'll see if we can get this going again. Just making her outrun. Remember, she's doing that because she'd run out there and then I'd play with the bird with her, so she's realized that by going out there she can engage me. This launcher, the way it's built, it's a new model and I'm not used to it. I keep accidentally launching things. Whoop, whoop, whoop. 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 Make sure I don't get my launchers mixed up in their order. Whoop. 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 So I can see those launchers real easy. They're set right out in the open. But I'm not sure how much she can see with the grass. But I'm not concerned. The wind is blowing her way, so I think she has some scent. But most of the time when our young dogs are breaking, well, a lot of the time when our young dogs are breaking, I feel like they're breaking because of visual things. They've seen the birds, or auditory things where they've heard the birds. If they've just got the scent, it seems to be easier for them to stand. So I don't get worried about them being able to see things, because they need to know what a launcher looks like when it's empty and what it looks like when it's got a bird in it. They need to know, you know, what they look like out on the ground. They need to know about the sounds and everything that's going on. All those different triggers they might have, I want to work through those until they get desensitized about all that. When I come back to her, she gets moving, so we need to clean that up a little. Whoop, whoop, whoop. 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 See how my voice caused her to think about if there might be something and look around to see if there was something else. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. You got a pigeon sticking his head out there. Yeah. Thank you. You see her wanting to be back on point. She's realizing, I think she might even be thinking that pointing helps create the birds. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. 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 Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. 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 Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. You have that other pistol?
Yep.
Yeah.
You could throw one in with one in the trap.
You can see her engaging now, where she's choosing to be on point to get me back in the game. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. 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 She's being pretty good with the launchers now, but she has a hard time with the bird she can see, especially if it's moving. You have one more bag? That's it? Oh, darn. Well, I wished I had just a few more birds. So you can see now with the launcher, we were getting her to even stand while one would go off. She might take a step or two, and she'd stop because of the other launcher. The thing that's definitely getting her is the bird coming off the ground, or with me dropping a bird. So that's where we want to keep working and desensitize that so that she'll stand through that. So we'll see if we can get a few more pigeons and see if we can help her go just a little bit further. You also saw that she's getting desensitized about the gun, where there are even a few times I shot the gun and she looked around but she didn't move her feet. It didn't cause her to leave her focus of being on point. Hi, thanks for joining us again. So our pigeons were pretty quick going back in. So we got a couple more bags of them. So we'll see what we can get done. This will be our last for today because we have some other things we need to go do. But I wish we she's down there pointing the pigeons around the pigeon pen. There's some feeding, and one just flew up on top of the pen, and she just stood on point because there was another one on the ground. And that certainly would not have happened yesterday, right before we did this. So pretty cool. Maybe pan around there so they can, oh, never mind, it just flew. Oh, but it landed on the post and she pointed it right there. Yeah, so she's slowed down a lot in her brain, and she's thinking about the fact that there's more birds. So I wanted to talk a second just about wild birds, because I said I do this in preparation for the wild birds. But when you watch dogs point, paired birds in the early spring when they're just starting to break up and pair off right at the end of the season, you know, they'll point, one bird will go, the other one will stay. You'll see the dog go, and then suddenly it'll come back and point that second bird. When birds leave, the dogs, I've heard the saying a lot of times, they return to the scene of the crime. So it's natural for a dog to run and chase birds and then come back and look where it had found them before. And sometimes there's a straggler or two. And that's part of the dog's process of learning not to chase so much, because when it comes back, there's more birds. So I've seen that happen in nature, and we used that here today. In nature, with often some of the covey will leave and the rest will stay. And a dog will run and go crazy through there and just blow them all up, right? But eventually they start realizing there could be more. And those dogs that just run on nothing but wild birds and just Mother Nature gets to do the training, that's the process that they go through. So that's what we're trying to mimic here. When I get into the wild birds, I can vocalize, shut down that chase, tell her there's more birds, and I can build on what I've done here in the wild birds and create a dog that really understands the wild birds. Come here, Zip! I'm talking and she's going to end up running off. But we'll get back to working with her. But I want to talk a little bit about that, because I find this does apply very, very well. Much better than just check cording into a launcher, I feel like, on wild birds. So that's why I like to do it this way. Come here, Zip! Whoop! 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 You see how quick she turns off that, because she's realizing there'll be more here. The value of that bird in the air just has decreased tremendously today. Whoop! 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 So I've noticed that being able to see the birds is her weakness. Whoop! That's why I'm working on that. Whoop! 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 There we go. Some of that could be, you know, she caught that bird earlier today, so, you know, she's thinking if she can just get close enough, she can catch it. But with time, that'll just work away, so we don't worry a lot about it. Whoop! They have to sort it out anyway if they're going to do any retrieving for you. Whoop! I'm out of birds. We're going to see if we can make this swap while she's standing on point. So she gave it some pretty good respect, had it pointed from a ways. As she started taking steps, I popped the bird. So dogs will have different levels of intensity. When they're standing off there, they might be standing and looking, but not really engaged mentally. So I'll let them creep until they engage, like you've seen me do. But as they get better and better, then I'll start making them respect it more and more. And if they take creeping steps, then I'll go ahead and pop the bird. But that's the way I'll address that for most of their training life, is that when they move, the bird flies. If they stand still, the bird stays. I find that's much more effective in the long run than telling the dog it has to stand, trying to stop creeping by making it stand. I find it's a lot more effective if I just teach them that when they take steps, the bird flies away, and then they quit trying to make the bird fly away. Come here, Zip! Whoop! 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 So I'll just reiterate there, or mention again, I think I mentioned early on the video, but this dog's had no formal training. It's had no whoa work at all. Just running the wild birds. But you can see she's starting to connect to my voice and the whooping sound. Pointing a lot more when we started, giving me more space. Let me walk around in front of her a little. Ah, shoot. Here. Whoa, up. Here. Come here now. Here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Whoop, whoop. 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 Yeah. So a couple bad flying birds and then a slow release, and that was very unfortunate. Whoop. I was very pleased with how she stood through that flight of that bird and stayed stuck on that launcher, and I didn't have my finger on the launcher. That went south. But nothing's unrecoverable. Those pigeons won't recover, unfortunately. Whoop. 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 So we're out of birds, out of time. But hopefully you can see there that we progressed this dog quite a ways in just a few workouts, where she's standing, she's even desensitizing to where I can throw a bird and she'll stay on point on the pigeon on the trap, in the trap. I wish we had a little bit more time, because I think we could get to where I could also get back to her, stroke her up a little bit, and we'd have a dog standing through the shot, through the flight. Not broke, right? Because we don't have a way to reinforce these things. So we still go on and woe break them, and we still go on and teach them how to be handled by us. But I think it's fascinating to see how much we can do with the dog's mind simply by timing release and timing our verbalizations and setting up situations where they desensitize to what's going on and they start to understand there could be more birds. You know, she gave up the chase almost entirely. She's just staying real focused on the situation at hand. And that's what we were hoping to demonstrate through this morning, is just how fast working with the dog's mind without having to make the dog stand still or make the dog not chase or make the dog, you know, taking those things away. The dog just gives up those things and starts to stand and lets you do things on its own, because it's starting to understand the game, that the bird on the ground is where the value is. So hopefully you understood that. Hopefully you saw something that you liked in this demonstration. I was pleased with how far we got. I was disappointed with the flight of a couple of my birds and my bad reaction on that launcher there, where we ended up losing some birds. But I think it's important for people to realize the loss there was the bird, but we didn't lose our training. We didn't lose, you know, the enthusiasm of the dog. We didn't lose anything of that nature. So we just don't need to get panicked when things like that happen. You just take them in stride, move on. I took the birds in a way that the dog, you know, isn't going to lose a desire to have the birds or have a desire to get away from me with the birds. So I feel like we handled those for situations that we didn't plan on and I wasn't thrilled with. We handled them in a way that they won't have a negative effect on our long-term goals, which is having a dog that finds the wild birds and stands them steady for us to get in there and shoot birds for them. There's other videos. If you want to check out our teasdoghouse.com, we have a video library there. There's 200 or so videos on there now, and we're constantly making new videos and putting them up. But there's videos in there that talk about shooting birds for our dogs and how we incorporate that into this type of work so that the dog sees us in front shooting the birds while the dog's stationary, and things to help that mind become the mind of a great hunter that sees us as part of the team. So there's a lot of information in those videos on that. I'd encourage you to check that out, and we'll just keep making videos. So thanks for joining us. We had a great time this morning, and we'll try it again another time. Talk to you later.